Hello and welcome to your Spring 2019 DS Update video. My name is Jesse Schrader. I'm the REC for Lancer Park, and I'm providing you with all of your updates for Spring 2019 today. I hope you all had a wonderful winter break and got some relaxation time in. I also hope that you're ready to hit the ground running here very soon when we have students coming back and ready to start us off on our best spring semester yet. This year, instead of having all of our supervisors come back to campus early and go through a training meeting and all of that, we decided to go ahead and do this update video. So, as it's not an informal training, sitting down, please make sure if you have any questions, you reach out to your REC or your supervisor so you can be well prepared for opening. Okay. Our first thing we're going to talk about is kind of what to expect from WTLW 2019. For anybody that's been here any length of time, it's not much different from the past. Your in-building times are going to be during the day for the most part, minus Tuesday. Every in-building is before 5 o'clock, so that afternoons are with your staff, and you go to dinner, and then you have whatever you would like to do for the rest of the day. Probably working on stuff to get prepared for opening, I hope, but if not, it's something else you need to take care of. You have all the time you need. Okay. From FTLW, we moved early arrivals up to 1 o'clock and have them going to 3. So that our maintenance staff can kind of get in and work on stuff if there's kind of issues we have. Please remember we've been closed for a month. So with that being said, if there's any issues in a room, we have our maintenance staff still here and they're not having to go home and then come back when students find something. As a side note, make sure that you're using this early arrival time for on-the-job training for your new staff. Don't just set up your returners to do all the early arrivals. Definitely allow some of your new staff to do that so they get some on-the-job experience very quickly here. Okay. WTLW is all about focusing on refreshing memories of important topics. So all our important topics like IRs, drugs, alcohol, all those kind of things we're kind of going to went over because people got it last semester, they learned about it in the fall during training, but they went home for a month and their slates have been wiped clean. So it's a big refresher. Also, some of our student staff weren't as good at certain things, so this is a really good time to really bring them back up to speed and get us ready to go to have a really good start. Kind of the next things we're looking at is our to-do list, task list, and info just for you. This is not for your DAs or anybody else. This is just for you. You need to review your early arrivals, so you'll have information from your REC where you can see how many people are coming early to the desk, so you're prepared with the number of staff members you need to accommodate that. Now remember, our spring openings are a lot smaller than our fall, but at the same time we could have significant numbers of people coming in as that early arrival list changes every day. Okay. You need to prepare for your new students, transfer students, readmits, and people who completed a winter or mid-year room change. They will move in on Saturday after WTW is finished. So we will literally end WTLW, and the next day we have students coming in. You also need to prepare for people who are academically suspended, transfer students, and people who decided to move out or leave Longwood. They move out starting on Saturday as well. Saturday is our catch-all date for anybody who was leaving the university or coming into the university. So we need to have adequate staff members there to be prepared for this load of students moving in and moving out. Speaking of having the desk open, these are your spring opening desk hours. Please take note that we open at the exact same time for both on campus and off campus, but we close at different times depending on when it is during the week. Okay, from the 9th through the 11th, we are only open from 1 to 3 on main campus and in the apartments. From the 12th, 13th, and 14th is when our times start to change. So make sure make sure you're familiar with this list and you have it ready to go for your scheduling purposes for WTLW and our opening spring training session. Okay, so for else what you need to look at is your DA pay for WTLW. It's 8 hours. That's just all for training. You'll put that on their timesheets. And then the DA hourly pay rate starts on the 12th at 8 a.m. So that's Saturday when we come in and start having students coming back and forth. That's when we get paid hourly. For Lancer Park and Longwood Village, you need to make sure you're ready for mail. Starting the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th, mail will be delivered to our locations anytime after 2 p.m. And starting on the 12th and going forward for the rest of the semester, mail will be delivered after 3 p.m. as usual. Shay and Lindsay, please be prepared for a lot of items to come in. We've had mail sitting in the Farmville post office since we closed the university, so we'll have a lot of things kind of coming in. Students are wanting to get their mail, so let's jump on that as fast as possible and make sure we're following all protocols and procedures. During WTLW, you each have in-building time, as we've talked about, built in during the day. So kind of going over things to get you prepared for that. Make sure you're using your staff members. If you have tasks you need to complete and things like that, we'll go over in a few minutes your task list. But you need to make sure it's not just falling onto you. Use all of your staff members. That gives them great hands-on experience behind the desk. You could have had someone who's just hired for WTLW, someone who was hired a month remaining in the semester, or somebody who just hasn't done it for a while. You need to get back there and get into those things at the desk. With that, don't cancel your in-building unless you needed to. You have that time for you and your staff. Make sure your staff is adequately trained and prepared for the semester. It doesn't matter what activity or function they want to go to. That's your in-building time, and don't let your DAs rush you. Speaking of that time, make sure we're reviewing protocols, especially the ones that your staff may have struggled with. You kind of know how the semester went in your community, so if there's certain things your staff just isn't good at, or a portion of them aren't good at, go ahead and redo all of those and go over them so everyone's ready to go for our spring opening. As a heads up, CPC recruitment will be in full swing on January the 10th. That is members coming in who are already members and they're getting ready for this recruitment event, and people who are trying to join. That's all well and good. We have nothing to really do with that. We're just providing our good customer service at any time. If people are trying to come in earlier for that or things of that nature, you can refer them to OFSL or have them go see your REC. With that being said, though, for your in-building times and what we have going on, if we have members of CPC organizations who work for us, our job does come first, so please make sure that you're not giving someone special treatment to go to a sorority meeting because you have other things you need to take care of for training. With parking, as we talk about every opening and every training, make sure your staff is parking where they're supposed to be parking for work. RCL will not and cannot be responsible for any of your tickets that you would receive. If there's an issue with parking, please talk to your supervisor. Inclement weather, as we all know, it's January, so anything can happen. It's also Virginia, so rain, snow, or shine, we will be working when these buildings are open unless we are on a closed break. If we do have inclement weather at any point in time during our spring opening or randomly during the semester, our staff does work, so people are expected to come to work. That being said, student safety is our #1 concern. So if students cannot get from Longwood Village to Lancer Park safely due to the weather outside and they need to come into work, that's okay. We don't expect them to put themselves in danger, but we need to make sure we're communicating with our staff and they're communicating with you that they cannot do this. Otherwise, we need to make sure our desks are stocked, manned, and ready to go and to be open to assist our students in any way we need to. With scheduling, as the spring semester is going to jump on you very quickly once you get here, please use your in-building time to schedule for at least the first 2 weeks of the semester. However your community schedules is up to you and your REC and how you all do that, but get those first 2 weeks done so that you doesn't come up to hit you really quick like, oh, we don't know who's working the next day because the schedule hasn't been placed. So make sure you take care of that. Here are the opening tasks that each desk has to have completed for WTLW 2019 and spring opening. You need to make sure we have a key audit on file. Even though you did an audit before you left in December, new keys were added, something could have happened, so make sure we're auditing all of our keys again. You're going to restock your desk supplies as needed. Let your supervisor know what you need. You did that in December as well, but things happen over break, so make sure we're checking those again. Inventory your equipment and your supplies just to make sure everything is still there and to make sure we're taking care of all of our needs. And that way, if something's gone up and missing, we can kind of figure out where it went during winter break. Prepare yourself and your staff for check-ins and check-outs, especially on that Saturday. Early arrivals will have kind of scattered here and there as our spring opening is a lot smaller, but Saturday is going to be very heavy with people coming in and coming out because they have a designated time to be here and then to leave. So make sure you prepare with that for all your necessary information. Keys pulled, key receipts taken care of, Mercury is ready to go, your staff are trained. Prepare for your new hires. This is one specifically for you to make sure you give your new hires as much time behind the desk as they possibly can. With FTLW, staff members get a lot more time behind the desk. With WTLW, it's not as much. So please make sure they get as much time behind the desk as they can to prepare themselves to work in the desk by themselves. Your allotment trackers will be sent out to you by Mo with updated information once it's available if it hasn't been already. Please just make sure you are looking at the correct allotment tracker when you're putting in information and sending it out. That is very important, and a DS should be very diligent in what they're doing with our allotment trackers and our DA's pay. Speaking of pay, timesheets. As an opening task for timesheets, please make sure that we are going over timesheets in in building so that staff are prepared and ready to fill out timesheets and know when to do so. There's no excuse to why a returning desk staff member should be submitting timesheets late or not submitting them at all. Please make sure we get information out to them and go over this during in building so they are well prepared. And last but not least, our biggest task during opening and the couple days after is spring roster verification. This is the top priority for our desks until it's completed. Essentially during the fall, when people come in, they get keys, they get key receipts, they're checked into Mercury, and we know who all is here because of that. They get keys, they get checked in. We don't do that in the spring. People don't have to turn their keys in to go home, they get to keep them. So people just show up. RAs will have hall meetings where they'll take attendance. After that, they will bring their hall meeting rosters down to the front desk so the desk staff members who are there can just check people into Mercury. Don't check people out of Mercury, do nothing of the sorts with this process. Just check in the people who are listed on that roster who we can verify they're here. The RAs and the REC are the ones who are verifying that students are here. If a desk staff member knows someone is here but they're not on the list or listed is not here currently, they can talk to the REC or you as a desk supervisor, but they are not to just check people in willy-nilly. This deals with people's money and getting billed. So you might see somebody here on campus, but they're not actually here. They're just hanging out before they go back home. So we need to make sure we follow that to the T. Make sure your staff are using the Canvas help documents on how to check people into Mercury if they've forgotten, so they can go over it and they can get into it and truly finish this task as soon as possible. Talk with your REC about spring roster verification. Everyone has a due date they'll have to use to work with your REC to get that, and for whatever else they may have you doing with that. And BCDs. So BCDs during WTLW will happen on the Friday of WTLW. They will be for our new desk staff, and we will once again be splitting into on and off campus groups. Documents will be available to you in a folder on Box on Tuesday. I will email you when that folder is up and live so that you can go in and look at the documents yourself and review all of the scenarios for that session. Remember, during BCDs, you are leading that session and the supervisors are there to kind of assist as needed. We also have interviews going on for desk supervisors on Friday, so we won't have full staffs. We'll just have the RECs that can be there and some other professional staff members as well potentially. So you're kind of leading the show and making sure your staff are trained appropriately and can handle situations. So please look over those documents. If you find any issues with those documents, please go ahead and shoot me an email. You can just reply to the email you get from this or from the BCD email just to me, and I will kind of fix it or kind of help with any edits that be made so we're ready to go for Friday. All right? That is the end of this video. If you have any questions, obviously you can't ask me right now because this is pre-recorded, but you can email me or talk to your supervisor or anything you need to know. Otherwise, I hope you have had a wonderful winter break again, and I'm excited to be jumping on this little boat we call Longwood here and sailing off for our spring semester. Thank you and have a great one.